And then for the last 15 minutes, Talking Pints. We're over a drink. We have a civilised conversation with someone. We very often disagree, but we do it in a grown-up way. Come and join me on Farrow.
My name is Andrew Doyle. Join me every Sunday evening at 7 p.m. for Free Speech Nation. This is a show where we address current affairs and news stories of the week with the help of two wonderful comedian panellists. I brought in comics because I want to give it a lighter edge, and also they work for less. See you there.
Hi there, it's Stephen and Anne.
At breakfast from 6 a.m, you'll always be caught up with everything you need to know, the latest headlines, opinions and debates.
We'll bring you the good news and the bad, but most of all, we're here for you.
Remember, send in your views and let us know what you would like us to talk about.
That's because we're your news channel. And every morning at 6 a.m, it's breakfast on GB News.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton Tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
Oh, a very good evening, everybody. It's 7 o'clock, and of course, it's Friday night, and that must mean it's time for eco-warriors, men queuing up for 40 hours to get free beer, and Prince Charles hitting 9 darters. Welcome to the one and only Friday Night Feast. That's right, it's the best time of the week as we guide you into the weekend with the usual mix of hard-hitting political analysis and somewhat less hard-hitting jokes and stunts, plus, of course, all of the usual features. I think this week's Challenge Christys is one of the very, very best yet, but maybe I'm just getting carried away. There we go. Yes, wait and see what happened to me there. And let's be honest, it really, really hurt. But of course, we're going to move on from that now because it's tonight's Dog of the Week and it's the gorgeous Pepper. Can you get one of these lovely dogs and give them a forever home? And we've got some huge news. Huge news about a dog that was previously featured on Friday Night Feast. Not the same news as we had about some of the others who've been put to sleep. But this one we've got some really good news on. So stay tuned to find out all about that. We'll also tell you about the Scottish town where residents are up in arms about a 25-metre toilet brush, easy for me to say, and find out why Super Mario had his car seized by police in Birmingham. But first, it's the latest news headlines brought to you this evening by the wonderful Tatiana Sanchez.
Thank you, Patrick. It's Tatiana Sanchez in the GB newsroom. An investigation has been launched following a security breach in the Commons after Extinction Rebellion activists glued themselves together around the Speaker's chair. Posing as tourists, they booked an official tour of the building. Outside, dozens of other climate protesters draped banners and padlocked their necks to the railings. 8 people were arrested. A review has found that Dame Cressida Dick felt intimidated into stepping down as Met Police Commissioner after an ultimatum from Sadiq Khan. The inquiry carried out by Sir Thomas Windsor also found that due process was not followed. Conservative Assembly members are demanding an apology from the Mayor of London. Sadiq Khan says the review was clearly biased and ignores the facts. The parliamentary inquiry into whether Boris Johnson misled MPs over Partygate is unfair and fundamentally flawed, according to a top barrister. Lord Pannick was tasked by the government to provide a legal opinion on the inquiry's investigation. In his report, he found the probe would be unlawful if taken to the courts. However, the chairman of the Parliamentary Standards Committee says the legal advice was misjudged. Well, voting in the Tory leadership contest has now closed. The result is set to be announced on Monday. Either Liz Truss or Rishi Sunak will take over from Boris Johnson as Prime Minister after a contest dominated by the cost of living crisis. Chancellor Nadhim Zahawi says whoever becomes our next Prime Minister needs to extend the cost of living support until next year. Speaking at a policy exchange event in London, he added it would help defeat the tactics used by Vladimir Putin. He also said the UK needs strong leadership and infrastructure to improve the British economy. TSSA Union has announced that it will join RMT's industrial action strike on the 15th and the 17th of September. These new strikes come in a long-running dispute over pay, jobs and conditions. Talks between the unions and rail industry have been ongoing, but there's been no breakthrough or new offers. GB News has been told that Albanian crime gangs are becoming increasingly prominent in the drugs trade in many areas of England. In Suffolk, the Police and Crime Commissioner says he's very concerned about how the trade is fueling much of the violence on the streets. It comes as the latest GB News poll found 61% of those surveyed believe violent crime is out of control in Britain. TV online and DAB Plus radio, this is GB News. Now it's back to Patrick and the Friday Night Feast.
Yes, happy Friday evening, everybody. Now, we've got loads coming your way. We're going to be talking a lot about Boris Johnson. Would you have Boris back? We're also going to be going dairy farmer versus animal rights activist in some kind of epic battle royale. We've got Dog of the Week. We've got Challenge Christys. We've got how likely you are to get divorced from your partner, so strap yourselves in, ladies and gentlemen. And, of course, as well, no lazy sexual innuendos whatsoever when it comes to Sadiq Khan and Cressida Dick. But before we get stuck into all of that, you know me. I don't like to gloat. I don't like to say I was right all along or anything like that, but I was right all along when it came to Boris Johnson. I said that Tories who wanted him out should be careful what they wish for. And yet, here we are. According to polling data, some 49% of Tory voters think that Boris should stay as Prime Minister, more than the combined number who want Truss and Sunak. Boris Johnson may well end up having fallen victim to what he called the biggest stitch-up since the Bayer Tapestry, as it emerged an inquiry into Partygate may essentially be legally flawed. The Tory MPs who forced Boris Johnson's resignation were like turkeys voting for Christmas. Both Truss and Sunak go down like a fart in a lift in the Northern Red Wall seats. Let's see how much they care about cheese, wine and a little bit of cake when they lose their jobs. Let's have a look at the two candidates to be our next Prime Minister, shall we? We've got internationally renowned public speaking expert Liz Truss, who's also a massive fan of pork.
In December, I'll be in Beijing, opening up new pork markets.
Good grief. And Rishi Sunak, who's admitted that he's a coke addict.
Yeah, I'm a coke addict. Total coke addict. Coca-Cola addict. Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah. Given the state of the country that either Truss or Sunak are going to inherit, you'd either have to be thick as mints or a rampant narcissist to want to take on the job as Prime Minister at the moment. I'll let you make your own minds up as to which one is which there. But my point is that I suspect a lot of Tory voters who wanted to see the back of Boris may well end up having seller's remorse. I fail to see the logic of, at a time of great global instability, an economic catastrophe, cost of living crisis, energy crisis, removing a leader who had not so long ago secured an 80-seat majority and then embarking on a leadership campaign that split your own party. They have rendered themselves leaderless at a time that this country needed continuity. Keir Starmer could become Prime Minister by virtue of deliberately doing absolutely naff all for years. He's despised by the left wing of his own party. The prospect of having Keir Starmer as our next PM is about as appealing as going on honeymoon to Mogadishu. Transitioning, of course, is all the rage at the moment, but Keir Starmer's change of identity is absolutely massive, isn't it? He's gone from being a dear friend of magic grandpa Jeremy Corbyn into a heavily lobotomised version of Tony Blair. Good old Beer Cormer wanted to abolish the monarchy. No, he doesn't. He likes to take responsibility for prosecutions during his time at the CPS, but apparently it wasn't his responsibility to prosecute every notorious criminal in Britain, was it? The public put the great into Great Britain. You do that. But our candidates to be the next Prime Minister are anything but great. And I want to know whether or not, knowing what you know now, being confronted by the reality that we all face today, you, the public, would actually have Boris back. Would you bring back Boris? Yes, very shortly I'm going to bring my panel in on this, but for more on it just now, I'm joined by the former parliamentary candidate and Bring Back Boris supporter, Alex Story. Thank you very much for joining us. Look, in all reality, what's the point of this Bring Back Boris campaign? Because it's going nowhere, is it?
Actually, I think it's been massively successful. I mean, don't forget that the day he resigned, we were left with this idea that the game was up. There was nothing else we could do. Literally within a week after I wrote an article in the National Review in the US, a few people gathered around and said, well, what can we do? So we started this petition. Now we are way beyond in terms of the signatories we needed in order to get some kind of change or Boris back on the ballot. But actually what's happened is that today Conservative Central Office essentially admitted that we're way beyond the numbers required. It's just that the momentum is there. They don't want to take it seriously. They think that the race has already been is already concluded. So there's no reason to bring Boris back.
Well, talk to me about how practically it would work to bring Boris back then.
Well, there's a couple of things. The first thing is the Conservative Constitution says that if 10,000 Conservative Party members sign a petition and demand some kind of change within the Constitution, then that happens. If you think about the amount of support that requires, it's quite staggering. Nobody would have signed a petition to rescue Theresa May. Nobody would have done the same thing for David Cameron, and certainly nobody would have done that for Michael Howard or William Hague in the past. The sheer momentum that's from the first moment to from 6 weeks ago to now, it's been an amazing journey. We've got, I think, something like 25 to 30,000 Conservative members who've signed this petition. The Conservative Party knows that we are in the right, but they are using all sorts of delaying tactics. They don't want to bring Boris back because they've already thrown the dice. They don't want to have a challenge to what they've started. And this is a bit like you said in the opening speech. They've gambled. And now they realize within a few weeks that the polls they thought were valid in June and in July are completely irrelevant now. You've said it perfectly. It's not just the membership that is massively supportive of Boris Johnson. It's also the Conservative electorate.
OK, all right, fair enough. Do you think either Liz Truss or Rishi Sunak can actually see to Keir Starmer? Because as far as I can see, he may well be about to become the first Prime Minister in this country elected on a ticket of doing absolutely naff all.
Well, I think the big difference between Keir Starmer and Boris was personality. There was a lot on the policy side that I would have disagreed with Boris on. The difference between Keir Starmer and Boris, if it's on the personality stake, you know who's going to win. With Sunak and with Truss, you're not so sure because they look like professional politicians. And if there's something that really turns people off their dinners, it's a professional politician who sounds like a professional politician. That picture that you showed of Liz Truss being taught to smile on camera, talking about pork in Beijing, makes me feel that we've got May Mark II coming over, and she was the worst prime minister we had since Gordon Brown.
Yeah, I suppose there's a joke in there somewhere, though, because if she is a Maybot Mark II, you could turn her off at the back, whereas Boris Johnson was apparently turned on a little bit too much during his tenure. But look, on a serious note, though, bringing Boris back, does that not just mean being embroiled again in scandal? I mean, he had the chance to behave like a Conservative, and he didn't behave like a Conservative when he was in power.
Well, yeah, that's true in many ways. But I think one of the things that he did, and people forget, but I think one of the truly great things that he did was that he launched the Commission on Racial Diversity in Britain, which I think was a frontal attack on the Hitlerian view that really prevails in the Labour and Lib Dem parties. This idea that we are defined by our race, that we're defined by our sexuality, that we're defined by our caste. With Kemi Badenoch, I think that she did. There was something really, really interesting in that. It was an attack on, or at least a counterstroke against Black Lives Matter at the time. So I think that that's a really, really interesting thing that he did, and it's going to be a very interesting legacy in the future, in my view. but on all sorts of... Carry on.
No, it's all right. I was about to pin you off, actually. Thank you very much, Alex. It's been great to have you on the show. I really appreciate it.
My apologies.
No, it's all right. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much. And good luck, I suppose, with Bring Back Boris campaign. Alex Story there, of course. To be fair, there's a lot of love in the inbox for bringing Boris back. GBviews at gbnews.uk. But welcome tonight to my panel. We've got actor and impressionist and presenter Francine Lewis, and, of course, the senior reporter as well at Guido Fawkes, Christian Calgie. Shall we bring back Boris? Christine, I believe this is slightly more in your wheelhouse, so I'll just go. I'll open up with you to start with. Look, is this ever going to happen?
It's not going to happen, no. I'm afraid to say that those tens of thousands of people who signed the petition, it's simply not going to happen, because the reason Boris left in the end was that he couldn't form a government. Right? Our entire political system is not necessarily based on the Prime Minister being the leader of the largest party. Theoretically, it's who can command a majority in the House of Commons, right? 60 people resigned. Whether the membership disagree with their reason for resigning or not, those MPs aren't going back into government. So it is simply constitutionally unfeasible for Boris to remain as Prime Minister.
Fair enough. I'm going to return to you on this, because there are some serious allegations about whether or not it was actually particularly democratic to remove Boris. But so just generally, Francine, when it comes to politicians in general, are you particularly inspired by anyone, or do you just think it's all a bit, I don't know, there's no one that makes you want to go out and vote at the minute?
Not really, but I am a little bit of a fan of Liz Truss.
Are you? Why?
Well, I think she cares for the people of this country. I think she's passionate for the citizens of this country. She wants to help the vulnerable. She wants to get prices down. She wants to get this country back to normal. I mean, she was an amazing foreign secretary, a great secretary of state. She made millions of trade deals all around the world to bring money into this country. And I think she's a strong woman, and most of all, Patrick, she's honest, which is more than I can say for Rishi. I mean, he was also part of Partygate, so why should he reap the rewards when Boris had to resign?
So you've not been charmed by Dishy Rishi?
I've not been charmed by Dishy Rishi. And I think, as Jerry Halliwell would say, do you know, can I just say, girl power all the way. And do you know, I was the scariest Spice Girl, but I know that Liz Truss will be the scariest Prime Minister yet.
Yes, we're away, people. Let's say you don't get your money's worth there on Friday night fees. Calgie, was it undemocratic to remove Boris Johnson?
I feel conflicted about this, right? Because unfortunately, a lot of the people who are furious that Boris was ousted from power are the same people who resigned en masse to bring down Theresa May. Yes. And I know Theresa May had much less of a mandate, but the system is the same. You know, so you have to, as an MP, you get to decide who's leader, and they simply had enough. And I think Boris is going to end up possibly being the most popular Prime Minister in retrospect, right? Because if you think about Blair, a lot of things are quite, ambiguous in terms of the legacy. Same with David Cameron, right? Boris, you got three big ones: Brexit, Ukraine, vaccine rollout. Which are pretty big. People will remember those for decades, and Partygate will fade in the memory, right? So I've no doubt, but I was speaking to a very, very close Boris ally yesterday, and he said, look, we can never rule anything out. We can never rule Boris coming back. You've got to remember his great idol Churchill was ousted in a massive Labour landslide in 45, came back in 1951 and did another 4 years. However, this source said, I wouldn't wish it on Boris and his family to go back into Downing Street, because it is a horrible job, and the next few years are going, regrettably, likely to be some of the worst in this country's modern history.
I mean, I've always liked Boris. I mean, I was, always backed Boris, and I do think he had a really tough time, delivering Brexit, and then, with the whole COVID situation. He had it tough. He really, really did. And I feel like it was like, he couldn't do right from wrong, really. It was very, very difficult for him. I mean, I would say bring back Boris any day, but I do like Liz Truss.
I think it's incredibly frustrating. He is the foremost political talent of his generation, and we won't see one like him for a long time. He won this massive majority, and all that momentum, all that potential got killed by COVID. And, it will forever, in his friend's mind, think, what could have been if all these things happened.
Just quickly on that, one of the reasons why we're really kind of pegging the show on this today is, of course, the findings by Lord Panic, which this is a fascinating story all round, actually. Lord Panic, who, of course, I believe was employed by Gina Miller?
He was.
Who's just been on Michelle Dewberry's show.
Just on, unfortunately, wasn't asked.
Who basically said that this inquiry into whether or not Boris Johnson misled Parliament might not really be kosher.
Yeah, it's a complete stitch-up, right? So, just to sum it up, the Parliamentary Privileges Committee, formerly run by Chris Bryant, now run by Harriet Harman, who was already declared Boris guilty, by the way.
Oh, massively.
Is running this investigation, and theoretically, if they found that he had deliberately misled Parliament, they could force a by-election and kick Boris out of the House of Commons. What has happened is, first of all, they changed the terms of the debate, so they've gone from not just did he deliberately mislead Parliament, but did he mislead Parliament at all, which, of course, MPs do all the time without facing by-elections. And secondly, Lindsay Hoyle gave the committee the power to try and force a by-election without any say by MPs, right? Complete stitch-up. So what Lord Panic has done today is come in and go, look, parliamentary privilege exists, right? So whatever this committee does, we can't take it through the courts. They're a body unto themselves. However, if we could take it to the court, I sincerely believe that the way they've committed, or the way they've tried going about this inquiry, would be unlawful. And it threatens parliamentary privilege, the right of MPs to speak freely in the Commons, and it will do serious damage to democracy and faith in the political system as a whole. It's a massive stitch-up.
Absolutely. Would you ever consider running for office?
Oh, God, no.
No.
There's the answer to that.
Why not? You don't fancy it? I suppose you...
Do you know what? I'm not a great leader.
Really?
No, I'm not. I don't like bossing people around. I find it really, really difficult to give out orders. I do.
I can imagine you...
And I'm a tough person, but I just don't like giving orders out. I don't know. I would hate that responsibility. I would absolutely hate it.
Fair enough. All right, well, we've got stuck in right there to whether or not you want to bring back Boris. Of course, this show would be nothing without you, my lovely viewers, my lovely listeners, my public, my people. You can email me, gbviews@gbnews.uk. Would you bring back Boris? You've heard it here, that basically he's been the victim of a massive stitch-up, apparently, it would seem, and he's maybe considering running again. Do you find him more or less inspiring than the choices on the table at the moment? You can tweet me as well, @GBNews. And if you say nice things about me, if you're very lucky as well, I might read out your message, might even name-check you, take a photo with one of your babies, or come round and sign something for you. That's right, that'll be a little later in the show there. But next, it's time for our big debate, OK? We never shy away from a big debate, and we're going to hit one of the top issues of the day very, very shortly. This week's hot debate topic is about eco-warriors. We've had vegans pouring milk away at Harrods as some kind of dirty protest. We've also, of course, got Just Stop Oil, who are going to be protesting at an unprecedented level, and it's only a matter of time before Insulate Prison glue themselves to something yet again. So I want to survey the nation, or this very small bit of it anyway, find out whether or not they think eco-warriors are an out-and-out menace.
They shouldn't stop people from working. They should do it in the proper channel. Everyone else has to do it in the proper channel. And I don't believe if we look into their lives, they're as equal as they actually think. And if they are, they should get a proper job.
There's people now protesters pouring milk away because to try and make us all go vegan.
No, that's rubbish.
We do need to look at the environment, but in all honesty, I think the protesters cause more problems for a lot of other people. And actually, the ongoing costs of what they do, they don't consider.
I think that the environment is really important. It just feels right now that the way we have politics doesn't actually allow for a lot of change. It doesn't feel like a lot of parties actually care a lot about making actual change, which is really frustrating.
Are you worried about the future of the environment?
A little bit.
What are you worried about?
Global warming.
Do you think people who are a bit older don't take it seriously because it's maybe your future more than theirs?
A little bit, maybe. Not too much.
What do you think about some of the tactics used? I mean, there's obviously the Just Stop Oil lot are planning massive protests, and some of that is criminal damage, isn't it?
Yeah, great. Yeah. Fantastic. Yeah, look at what Gandhi did. Look at what, every political change that's ever come about in history, you need people like this, visionaries, who can see what needs to be done.
OK, well, there we have it. The people of Britain have spoken. It's time to head back to the studio, and we have a head-to-head debate on this very topic. Are the eco-warriors in all their different forms an absolute menace?
Join my show Farage, 7 p.m. till 8 p.m. Monday through Thursday, and there you will get opinion, analysis, debate, and I'll cover stories that nobody else dares to touch. You've been cancelled. Join the club.
Oh my goodness me.
And then for the last 15 minutes, talking pints. We're over a drink. We have a civilised conversation with someone. We very often disagree, but we do it in a grown-up way. Come and join me on Farage.
My name is Andrew Doyle. Join me every Sunday evening at 7 p.m. for Free Speech Nation. This is a show where we address current affairs and news stories of the week with the help of two wonderful comedian panellists. I brought in comics because I want to give it a lighter edge, and also they work for less. See you there.
Hi there, it's Stephen and Anne.
At breakfast from 6 a.m, you'll always be caught up with everything you need to know, the latest headlines, opinions and debates.
We'll bring you the good news and the bad, but most of all, we're here for you.
Remember, send in your views and let us know what you would like us to talk about.
That's because we're your news channel. And every morning at 6 a.m, it's breakfast on GB News.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton Tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
Welcome back, everybody, to Friday Night Feast. Now, you heard in the news bulletin about Extinction Rebellion activists gluing themselves to the Speaker's chair in the House of Commons earlier today. And more protests are on the way from Animal Rebellion, who are an offshoot of Extinction Rebellion. Vegan activists are threatening to cause huge disruption to this country's milk supplies this month, which they say will affect tens of millions of people. Well, in July, Animal Rebellion protesters poured bottles of milk onto the floor of the food hall at Harrods. At the time, the group said that they were highlighting the need for the UK to transition to a plant-based food system, and they're now stepping up that campaign. Well, the Animal Rebellion website actually says this September we will be disrupting the dairy supply across the UK with 500 people day after day, until presumably some of them get nicked, cutting off the supply of milk to supermarkets and causing incorrigible high-level disruption, which will be felt by tens of millions of people across the UK. They sound like a lovely bunch, don't they? So, is this reckless behaviour, which will punish a massive number of innocent people, or are Animal Rebellion right to draw attention to what they call a climate emergency? And I'm pleased to say that we're going to have an epic debate on this right now. To discuss this issue, I'm joined by dairy farmer and NFU board member Max Seeley. And also with us is Eliza Allen, who's the Vice President of Programmes at PETA, the animal rights organisation. I'd like to start with you, Eliza, if that's OK. When you see people shamelessly pouring milk away, my attitude to that is that more cows are going to need to be milked and therefore it might be self-defeating. Is it cruel for people to milk cows and then drink their produce?
Well, you know, the style of protesting that you're talking about, it's not entirely PETA style, but I think when you consider that cows in the dairy trade, they have their babies ripped away from them just so humans can drink their milk, or that male calves in the industry are often shot because they're of no use. When you consider these things, I mean, who can blame anyone who tries to get people to think about how cruel and how unnecessary that all is? And you know what? Some people, they will see that and they will change. And I think that makes it worthwhile. I think shaking things up a bit, it's how social change comes about. And it's something that we should welcome and should embrace.
Yeah, no, Max, what do you think about that? Is it cruel to milk cattle?
No, of course it's not. I mean, we've been milking cattle here for 4 generations. If it was cruel, we wouldn't do it. We love our animals. We love our farming. We love what we do looking after the countryside.
Yeah, but just talk to me a little bit about, you know, some of the points that are raised by these animal rights activists, which is that maybe perhaps, Max, sometimes they're not treated particularly well. They are essentially shamelessly used by humans because they taste nice or produce liquid.
Well, of course, dairy cows have been bred over generations to produce milk for human consumption, and that's a good way of getting nutrition into the human food chain. We use grass, which we can't eat grass. A lot of this country just grows grass, and humans can't eat grass. They can't eat grass and convert it into nutrient. And dairy is a great way of doing that.
OK, yes, I suppose, Eliza, look, maybe there's two ways of getting your point across here. You could have a conversation like the one you're having now, or people could, you know, cause civil disobedience and make themselves a public nuisance. And how do you feel about animal rights activists making themselves a public menace?
Well, you know, I think it's okay to push against a status quo, because the status quo, it's often based on cruelty and exploitation and environmental destruction. I also think that there isn't a one-size-fits-all approach to activism or to social change, but I can tell you that politely calling for change, it often doesn't achieve very much. And I can also tell you that actions speak louder than words. And I think the fact that we're talking about the actions of these activists, it shows that the style of campaigning does have its merits, and it does work in terms of initiating debate and discussion, and that's all hugely important. I also want to make the point about the dairy industry. You know, when you think about it, cow's milk is for baby cows. It's not meant for humans. Cows on dairy farms, they're artificially impregnated. Their beloved babies are taken away from them shortly after birth so that humans can drink the milk that nature intended for the calves. And this happens on all dairy farms, even organic ones. And I've spent time on dairy farms. I know that I know it's a tough industry and it's a tough job to do. But I can also tell you that I have heard the mothers bellow for their babies, and they grieve for them because they love them and they were torn away from them. And that is so heartbreaking. And it's so unnecessary, because today we have oat milk, we have almond milk, we have soya milk, we have all of these wonderful alternatives that are more sustainable, more environmentally friendly, and a lot kinder to animals.
Eliza, yeah, OK. Max, I'll lob it over for you. I mean, do you struggle to hear the howls of the mother cow as the calf is taken away and people like me drink the milk?
No, it simply doesn't happen, and it's trying to put into human terms, using the words babies. You know, they're not babies, the calves. The modern dairy.
They're their babies. Animals have babies and they love them. That's not unique to humans.
Humans have babies.
We carry these babies for months, and we love them when they come out. It's not a unique human experience.
OK, Max, go on, respond to what Eliza said there.
We're an autumn calving herd. We're calving our 300 cows right now, and you can see cows and calves being born, calves being cared for in the calf shed, cows being cared for in the cow accommodation. We're investing quite heavily in the farm at the moment in order to update our housing. We care very much about the welfare of our cows. Our cows are, very much part of everything we do. And you say it's a tough job. Dairy farming is a tough job. It's also a great job. It's something that can really be very good for the environment. We are open-minded to change. We're looking at different ways of farming, more regenerative, measuring the carbon on our farms, measuring the carbon in our soils. So, we want to change and adapt. We want to compete on a nutrient basis with the oat milks and with the almond milks. Of course, we recognise that everybody should have a choice in what they eat.
OK, well, I'll tell you what, that was, I must say, absolutely gripping. Both of you, just lastly, actually, Eliza, are you a vegan, then I take it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Have you always been a vegan?
No, that's something that it's a lifestyle, a diet that I embraced some years ago.
OK, anything in particular that changed your mind, Eliza, or not?
Once I realized that animals aren't things, they're not hamburgers, they're not handbags, they're individuals who deserve to live, that's when I became vegan.
OK, Max, I'll just give you the final word on this. I started with Eliza, so it's only fair. Max, yeah, OK, fair enough. You're in the dairy industry, OK, which is possibly, you know, the least, well, I suppose deadly. Oh, she's gone anyway. The least deadly of the kind of farming elements of it. But do you resent sometimes being categorised essentially? Oh, and they've both gone. There we go. Doesn't really matter anymore. Is he back? Yes. OK. Max is still there. Max, do you resent being essentially categorised as some kind of animal rights abuser?
Yes, absolutely, because that's just not who we are. We recognise everybody has a right to their own opinion. Everybody has the opportunity to eat what they want and can consume what they want. But no, I'd be very happy to welcome anybody to come to our farm, see what we do, and judge for themselves.
Both of you, thank you very, very much. That was, of course, dairy farmer and NFU board member Max Seeley, and also, as well, Eliza Allen, who's the Vice President of Programmes at PETA. Now, I'm going to bring you in, Calgie, here. This is our panel, by the way. Of course, I'm joined by the wonderful Christine Calgie from Guido Fawkes, Francine Lewis as well. Thank you very, very much for joining us. Calgie, do you think the vegans have gone too far?
Well, I think when I see a protest like that, what I see are irritating middle-class people walking into, is it Harrods or and you know, they're making work for minimum wage cleaners, right? That's what I think there. I think farmers have a horrible time at the moment in this country. The profit margins are almost non-existent. It's back-breaking work from dawn till dusk. And then you've got irritating middle-class university students going out and moralising about this. And there's a great conspiracy theory that I very much sign up to, that PETA are essentially a front for the meat lobbying industry to make vegans look as bad as possible.
Oh, really?
And I completely agree with them, because what I took away from that is they would be happy with us drinking milk if we were milking women.
That's interesting, actually.
Which, well, yeah, if they think cows are, you know, milking cows is for calves, then breast milk is the future.
That's what I was
How do you
thinking.
feel about breast milk being the future, Francine?
Well, I personally wouldn't like it myself, but I have to say, I do drink oat milk and almond milk myself. That's not because I totally dislike normal milk.
No.
But you do hear, you know, it's good not to have too much dairy in your diet. But I always think, and this is my motto, a little bit of everything is good for you. And, you know, if you want to be a vegan, that's fine. But what I find really difficult to swallow is when people do, I'm going to be a vegan for the next month, you know, in January.
Well,
you're either a vegan or you're not a vegan.
Well, how do you know if someone's a vegan? Because they've already flipping told you, haven't they? That's the thing. Every single time, you might as well, you see it on, back in the day when I was on the old dating apps with very little success, you sort of see people, they'd always advertise, it'd be part of their personality. You know, big time. It doesn't really matter, of course, what your political views are, what you even look like, as long as... In fact, there's probably a market for vegan dating apps, right?
Yes. Yes. Well, the only problem is they don't eat meat, so the dates are quite disappointing.
Hey, there we go. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, after the break, it's the moment that you've all been waiting for. Yes, it's Challenge Christys time. Now, every week I conquer the peaks of human endeavour and return unscathed to tell you all about it. And here's a little question, OK, to get you thinking over the next couple of minutes. Trust me, you are not going to want to miss this particular Challenge Christys. Jean-Claude Van Damme starred in a hit 1989 martial arts film. Was it called A, Karate Kid, B, Kickboxer, or C, Kung Fu Panda? I'll just rock you through that one again. Jean-Claude Van Damme starred in a hit 1989 martial arts film. Was it called A, Karate Kid, B, Kickboxer, or C, Kung Fu Panda? Yeah, strap yourselves in, ladies and gentlemen, because when we come back, it's possibly the best Challenge Christys yet. Don't you dare move.
Join my show Farage, 7 p.m. till 8 p.m. Monday through Thursday. And there you will get opinion, analysis, debate, and I'll cover stories that nobody else dares to touch. You've been cancelled. Join the club. Oh, my goodness me. And then for the last 15 minutes, talking pints. We're over a drink. We have a civilised conversation with someone. We very often disagree, but we do it in a grown-up way. Come and join me on Farage.
My name is Andrew Doyle. Join me every Sunday evening at 7 p.m. for Free Speech Nation. This is a show where we address current affairs and news stories of the week with the help of two wonderful comedian panellists. I brought in comics because I want to give it a lighter edge, and also they work for less. See you there.
Hi there, it's Stephen and Anne.
At breakfast from 6 a.m, you'll always be caught up with everything you need to know, the latest headlines, opinions and debates.
We'll bring you the good news and the bad, but most of all, we're here for you.
Remember, send in your views and let us know what you would like us to talk about.
That's because we're your news channel. And every morning at 6 a.m, it's breakfast on GB News.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton Tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
All right, we're having far too much fun here in the Brexit Friday Night Feast. Welcome back. Now, before the break, I did ask you this quick question. Jean-Claude Van Damme starred in a hit 1989 martial arts film. But what was it called? Was it A, Karate Kid, B, Kickboxer, or C, Kung Fu Panda? It was, of course, Kickboxer. That's right. The answer there was B, which was such a great film that it spawned no less than 6 sequels, with another apparently in the pipeline, which leads me nicely onto this. That's right, it's time for Challenge Christys, which is, of course, the part of the show where I tackle some of life's toughest activities and generally pass that test with flying colours. Quite literally, when I did a loop-the-loop in an aeroplane, and indeed landed an aeroplane as well the other week. Last week, I survived a brutal SAS interrogation, during which I was bundled into the back of a van at gunpoint, leaving one unsuspecting member of the public to call the police, which did actually happen. But I have not yet managed my main goal of dancing with male strippers, the Dream Boys. We have actually been trying to contact the Dream Boys for a little while now. They've gone cold on us. I can't imagine why not. I have now lost my weight. So I was supposed to be doing, basically going down from 15 stone 8 to 14 stone 1. He's now below 14 stone. That's right, although that shouldn't really be considered an achievement because I'm only about 5'10". But there we go. As well as getting in the shape of my life for this performance, I am, though, raising money for the mental health charity Mind. By the way, don't worry, everyone's shouting at their TVs. We'll find a way of doing the Dream Boys, don't worry. You will be lucky enough to see me with my kit off at some point. But thank you so much to everyone who has donated so far. At the moment, the total is at 21,970 quid. And there's a real mental health crisis in this country. All joking aside, people, suicide, believe it or not, is the single biggest killer of men under the age of 45. We do like to have a bit of a laugh and a joke here on Friday Night Feast, but we also want to raise money for a very, very good cause. And I know that money is tight for a lot of people at the moment, but please, please, please give whatever you can to Mind. The way that you can do it is justgiving.com/fundraising/Challenge Christys. But anyway, it's time now to give Jean-Claude Van Damme a run for his money, because I think a new film franchise might just be in the offing. Yeah, this week I've been trying my hand at kickboxing, and I think you'll agree, I made quite the impression. Yes, hello everybody, Patrick Christys here. Welcome to the latest instalment of Challenge Christys. Now, I'm just off Baker Street, so heading into somewhere a bit strange here now. Let's have a quick look around, shall we? World title. Sounds a bit ominous. Rafael Nieto. Oh, 1989, that's all right. It'll just be some old codger. What's this one here? Spanish Open. Campeón. There we go, 2015. Also, a while ago, Spanish Open. Well, it's about lunchtime now, so probably be having a siesta. What we got here? Zhendo martial arts. OK, bit of a giveaway there, although this is more Hindu than Zhendu, isn't it? But, right, I think it's time to find out what it is I'm doing here. So there we go. Thank you very much. Cheers. OK, hopefully it's just some old codger teach me Tai Chi or something. Is that a martial art? I don't know. Yeah. Anyway. Right. No, it's not Tai Chi. It's kickboxing.
Bang, double, 4 punches. Upper hook, dark, right, counter side. Bang, 4. Move, bang. 1, 2, hook, dark, spin, go.
Where you going?
Nice. Bang, 4.
Get changed now! Come here.
Guys, someone help! Why are you just standing there? Help me, this guy's nuts!
I'm not doing this.
You doing this. You hear? You do it.
I don't want to do it until you can't make me.
You do it now. Put your clothes on now.
Ow! 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 Okay, all right, I'll do it.
Get ready.
All right.
Come on, Patrick, we've been waiting long enough now. Get yourself out of here now.
Mate, you can't make me come out of there, honestly. It's just, they're going to beat the living heck out of me.
You got to do it, mate.
Right, so, as you can see, I've got a head guard on, which I imagine is going to make the world a difference. And, these gloves, okay, fine. Pre-worn, can get the sweat on them already. And some slippers. Okay, all right, so I think it's probably time that I met the team. It's not the best look, this, is it? I've got fat spilling out the sides. Right. Hello, chaps, how are we?
How are we doing?
Good, I'm Patrick.
Sensei Anthony. This is Sensei Arai.
Hello.
And Sensei Kuba.
Yes, we've met, haven't we? How are you? Good, okay, right, so what are we doing here then?
You're going to do some basics, combos, and we'll do a little bit of sparring afterwards, see how your skills match up.
Fine, and you guys are just like rank amateurs. I saw some trophies there, but that's just some old geezer, is it? Or...
Yeah, none of us.
No. Sweet, okay, fine, good stuff. All right, okay, well, so what are we going to do first then?
We'll do some basics.
Yeah.
So what I'd like to do is line up.
Okay.
Good. You two step forward. Excellent. Start the class, feet together.
Can I just ask quickly before we start, why am I the only one with a head guard on?
You're the only one that needs it.
Right.
Move back, one, duck.
Duck.
Move left.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Now we're going to go roundhouse kick and kick with your left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good.
That was good. Yeah, so you guys now, because you've seen her look at me in the mirror, you know, must be dreading fighting me.
Terrified.
Yeah? Yeah, okay, great. Can I ask, how did you get that black eye?
Kick.
That would make sense, to be fair. Okay, good. That's probably why I've got the head guard on. Brilliant, okay. So what now? What should we do?
We're going to do a bit of sparring, moving around, and these guys are going to put all their equipment on so you don't hurt them.
Yeah, well, I would hate to hurt, especially this guy.
Especially on camera. That's it, double the kicks up.
Double
the kicks.
Really, they're both flexible, aren't they?
Yeah. Good. That's it. Light.
Flipping hack, right, okay. And you yourself have been at this for a long time?
So I'm 34. I'd say it's been about 28 years.
Right, and I've had about 28 seconds.
Yeah. Nice.
And sometimes, you know, do people really connect and get hurt or anything? Or?
That was a good time.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
We do two separate forms of sparring.
Right.
You do form fighting, which is no contact at all. And you do light continuous, which is what the guys were doing just
So that
now.
was light continuous?
Yeah.
Okay, great, all right, brilliant.
You're going to be doing full contact.
Yeah, I had a feeling about that. Right, okay, well, I need to learn a little bit more. I mean, my concern is, because obviously this is the money maker, right? As everyone can see, this is how I earn a living. Of
course.
So I'm thinking we need to work the body, right? So I'll let you.
Absolutely.
Don't let him.
I'll let you, right? Hit me on the body, but it's just this is how I make a living.
No problem.
Right, okay, fine.
So we'll do.
Good. This is insured, by the way, for like millions.
What? You sure you don't want me to then?
Right, okay, so we're gonna just do a little bit of sparring before the main event.
A little bit of moving around.
A little bit moving around, so there'll be a bit of contact.
Yes.
Okay, I'm just concerned because you are quite good at this. Maybe we should have some kind of safe word.
Ooh, good point.
Yeah?
What would you like?
Pineapple?
Touch gloves. Good, that's good.
Oh, what? Okay, that's all right, just slip. I slipped.
You're good, It's the sock.
Oh. Pineapple. Right, okay, well look, so that's the basics. And obviously, what people don't see is I've got to go lightly on him.
Appreciate
and we'll do...
It's just some conditioning. So the boys will hit each other.
Okay.
You're going to hit me, and then I'm going to hit you. And if you're nice to me, I won't hit you too hard.
Okay. Right, so what do you want me to do?
We're going to do some body shots, some conditioning. Okay. So I want you to try and win me.
You want me to try to win you?
Yes, or break a rib, or if I could some blood, that would be ideal.
Right, okay, fine. This is okay? This is not some kind of trap?
Nope.
Right, okay, fine, let's do it then.
Cool, that's it, good, nice shot. That's it, good, that's it, excellent.
Does that not hurt at all?
Nothing, nice, that's it, harder. That's it, good, nice shot. That's it, even better.
It does actually really hurt
you.
Why is it hurting me? Right, okay, now I can't help but notice we swap positions.
Yes.
It's just because before you were stood here and you were the one getting punched.
Correct, so now it's payback. Right. You're going to pay for your sins.
But it hurt me, you.
Yeah, this is going to hurt more. I'm not going to hit your head at all, just the body shots.
Just the body.
So I want you to keep your stance and just rotate to protect.
To protect the
vital organs. Yeah?
Vital organs.
That's it.
That's down there, isn't it?
Oh, Jesus.
Okay, right, fine.
Pineapple, cover. That's it. Nice. Good. Don't get hit. That's it. Yeah, body shots. Good. That's it. Good. Doing very well.
Okay.
That's it. Didn't say what. That's it. Very good. Nice.
It's fine. Yeah, good. I think that's all right. I think I'm ready to go.
Well done.
Okay. It's fight time. Okay, you've had your lesson, right? You've had your lesson. You ready to go? Those guys out there, yeah? They don't know anything, okay? They don't know anything. It's just you and some massive Spanish geezer. All right, let's have it.
So I've kind of lied to Patrick. I'm a champion, actually. And I'm going to do the world a favour. I'm going to put him down.
So let the games begin. It's time for pain and glory, time to be a champion. Anyone could warn me, but I bet that I'm a win. I hear you telling two stories, but we both know I'm the king.
And fight.
Told you.
Right, I've had enough of this. God. Oh, God.
Oh. Where do you think you're going?
Oh, no.
It's my turn now.
Oh, not again. Yeah, that actually really hurt, to be fair. But if you're listening on GB News Radio, you can watch that challenge right now on your YouTube channel, of course, our Facebook page as well, and on Twitter. Well, I feel my kickboxing career got off to a very bright start, but let's find out what the experts think. So, putting me through my paces in that clip was kickboxing expert and instructor Anthony Nieto, and he joins me now, and so does his father, Rafael Nieto, a kickboxing legend, an OG, really. He's a former world, European and British champion. Thank you both for joining me. I'm going to start with you, Anthony. Look, mate, you know, I think I've got a bright future, have I?
I think you did very well.
Good, very diplomatic of you. Now, of course, as well, we met, didn't we, Rafael, when I was doing a different show here, a morning show, and you kicked me in the head during that TV show as well. So I've now been kicked in the head by father and son. But, Rafael, what do you make of what you saw there?
That was a great interview. If you're looking for a job, you've certainly got one with us. Well done.
Well, as a cleaner, presumably. But look, I wanted you to talk a little bit about yourselves, and then we'll get stuck into what you guys do, because it's a fantastic setup that you've got there, and I understand you've got a few of those premises as well. But Rafael, I'll start with you, a kickboxing legend, former world, European and British champion. I mean, how do you get into it? How did you get the kickboxing bug?
Well, first of all, you've got to turn up for a class. And, you know, what you saw today was really the top end of the guys training with you. But really what we try and do is take people from a very basic class, get them fit, get them to defend themselves. And remember that people nowadays, there's a lot of fear outside on the street. But what you did there was a top-end stuff. You can defend yourself very, very quickly by training the way we train. You don't have to be a top-class fighter to defend yourself in any given situation.
Which is just as well, because I'm very much not a top-class fighter. But, Anthony, it was a tremendous setup there. It was at Baker Street. Just talk to me through a little bit about what you guys have got going on at Agenda, where people can get involved with it as well.
Well, you can book a free trial on our website. We teach from 4 years old. There's 4 central London locations. It's great for all ages. I mean, our philosophy is fit for life. You know, it's a family-run business. There's no franchises, no, push-ons or managers. It's all family-run. So you're really speaking to the people in charge all the time. We take a real passion in what we're doing. So, we push forward. We do what we can.
Yeah, and Rafael, go on, cut in. I can't interrupt you. I'm worried that you'll kick me to death the next time I see you. What was it?
Just to say that when you were training with 3 guys. But we have in the region of 50-60% females that train with us. So it's a real varied mixed classes. We have children of all ages. And really the whole point of doing this, and sometimes it's missed out on, especially martial arts, is having fun. Because if you don't have fun, you don't come back.
No, absolutely. And as you alluded to as well there, Raphael, I think it's as good a time as any, given what's going on, especially around the capital at the minute, to actually learn to defend yourself. But, Anthony, you and I were having a chat, and I was asking you a lot of naive questions like, what's it really like to knock someone out? But actually what you said to me was, look, what it is like, it gives you a confidence that if someone does try it on, you accidentally find yourself in a situation totally out of your control, through no fault of your own, where someone gets a bit leery, you can be quite calm in that situation, Anthony, can't you? And I think that is important at the minute.
Absolutely, yes. It's just about confidence, knowing, run away, don't fight. It's not about fighting. It's not about having the confrontation. Nowadays, it's not, a punch, it's a knife, it's a gang, it's something silly you can't control. Better not to get involved, absolutely. But that confidence does help you avoid situations.
Raphael, last word to you, mate.
The key to what we do is making people confident. Confidence is the biggest thing that you can give people, and that changes their lives.
Good stuff. Look, both of you, thank you so much. Can I just say thank you so much for making the time at what was quite short notice to open up your centre there for us and kind of lay it on for us. We really, really appreciate it, and for taking the time to come on the show this evening, and hopefully we get to work together again very, very soon. Good luck to you both, Anthony Nieto there, and of course his father, Raphael Nieto, kickboxing legends, both of them. Well, there you go, ladies and gents. That was indeed Challenge Christys. I'm going to bring my panel in now. Francie, when you saw me there, just wearing a vest, my boxing gear. That's a real man, isn't it?
Oh, totally, Patrick. And I have to say, I'm so happy your moneymaker stayed perfect.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the one, because, ladies and gentlemen, we all know the only reason I've got this job is because of my looks. How do you think I fared there in the kickboxing arena?
I would be very willing to have a scrap with you outside a pub.
Right, good stuff. OK, fair enough. Have you guys got any suggestions for future challenges? Because a lot of people get in touch. You can email me directly, patrick@gbnews.uk, when it comes to challenges, etc. So you can plonk us with some ideas, if I think they're good enough. Well, it's not really down to me, actually. My team decides what they think is going to hurt me the most, and they say that I can do it. But is there anything either of you two would particularly like to see me do you
Just
think?
thinking that, what could we do? What could you do that you haven't...
Hold that thought. Hold that thought, OK? Hold that thought, because we are going to be thinking of some of those throughout the show. I, of course, did get beaten up pretty badly there, but yes, please keep these ideas coming in, and you can get to me at patrick@gbnews.uk, and yes, we will have to wait and see whether or not I turn up. But now it's time for this. Postperson Pat, just the right side of copyright law, and Derek has been on. This is where I read out some of your comments. Derek disagrees with me on the whole Boris debate. He says cost of living crisis, energy crisis, migrant crisis, inflation through the roof, strikes, crime rates exploding, woke police punishing... Come up for air, Derek. Woke police punishing green levies, actively importing Albanian criminals, etc. Thank God he is finally gone. Well, OK, that's one way of looking at it. All I would say is I don't think any of those problems are going to get that much better anytime soon. Russ says, I bumped into Boris in Uxbridge today, strangely enough, shouted, hey, and he waved back. Both me and my missus, who is a nurse, would vote for Boris again. Interesting context there about the nurse. I did really like that video earlier on about a bloke who got woken up to a dawn raid by police, I think the day after Notting Hill Carnival, and Boris Johnson was there. I mean, you'd think that was a bad dream, of course, or, I don't know, maybe a woman's bed. Danielle says, welcome back, Patrick. So glad to see you. No, that's it. Apparently great stuff, Danielle. Thank you. Great to see you as well, in a way. And on the topic of Extinction Rebellion, Brian's been on. Brian says, I was an eco-warrior 40 years ago, having joined Greenpeace. Not enough people listened then, and not enough people are listening now. These activists are just trying to wake people up to the fact that we as a human race are killing a planet. If they don't listen to it, it will be Armageddon. Gosh, and to think some people say that there's fear-mongering there. On veganism, Dave says, any diet that requires artificial supplements is not a diet anyone should follow. There we go, OK. And Pam. Pam's been on as well, and Pam is low in calcium and says this on the Animal Rebellion. Do these people even consider the hundreds of thousands of people like me who have calcium deficiency disorders such as osteoporosis and brittle bone disease and need calcium that we get from milk? So a range of views there. Thank you very, very much, everybody. I am inclined to agree with you, of course. I've decided to show support for our dairy farmers in this country. and basically drink milk in front of a vegan. Anyway, there's lots more to come between now and 9 o'clock. Find out what a psychologist thinks are the 4 telltale signs of divorce. And, amazingly, catching your other half in bed with someone isn't actually one of them. I'll dispense my own brand of justice in Christys' courtroom, a new feature that we're, for want of a better phrase, trialling here on Friday Night Feast. And there's some huge news, big news in our search to find a forever home for one of our dogs of the week. Spoiler alert, this one ended a lot better than all of the others who've gone across the Rainbow Bridge. I'll see you in a few minutes. Take care.
Join my show Farage, 7 p.m. till 8 p.m. Monday through Thursday. And there you will get opinion, analysis, debate, and I'll cover stories that nobody else dares to touch. You've been cancelled. Join the club.
Oh, my goodness me.
And then for the last 15 minutes, talking pints. We're over a drink. We have a civilised conversation with someone. We very often disagree, but we do it in a grown-up way. Come and join me on Farage.
My name is Andrew Doyle. Join me every Sunday evening at 7 p.m. for Free Speech Nation. This is a show where we address current affairs and news stories of the week with the help of 2 wonderful comedian panellists. I brought in comics because I want to give it a lighter edge, and also they work for less. See you there.
Hi there, it's Stephen and Anne.
At breakfast from 6 a.m, you'll always be caught up with everything you need to know, the latest headlines, opinions and debates.
We'll bring you the good news and the bad, but most of all, we're here for you.
Remember, send in your views and let us know what you would like us to talk about.
That's because we're your news channel. And every morning at 6 a.m, it's breakfast on GB News.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton Tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
Welcome back to Friday Night Feast. We've got a rollercoaster of a show lined up. I was asking people to come up with suggestions for my next challenge, Christys, and someone has suggested that I try to get across the channel in one of those little dinghies. You're on. Anyway, between now and 9 o'clock, I'll tell you why Super Mario has had his car seized in Birmingham. I'll see if the great British public believe that the government is going to ration toilet rolls this winter. And there's some massive news, monumental news, shocking news, but this time for all the right reasons when it comes to Dog of the Week. That's right, that's all to come after the latest news headlines brought to you by the wonderful Tatiana Sanchez.
Thank you, Patrick. It's 8:01. I'm Tatiana Sanchez in the GB newsroom. An investigation has been launched following a security breach in the Commons after Extinction Rebellion activists glued themselves together around the Speaker's chair. Posing as tourists, they'd booked an official tour of the building. While outside, dozens of other climate protesters draped banners and padlocked their necks to the railings. 8 people were arrested. A review has found that Dame Cressida Dick felt intimidated into stepping down as Met Police Commissioner after an ultimatum from Sadiq Khan. The inquiry carried out by Sir Thomas Windsor also found that due process wasn't followed. Conservative Assembly members are demanding an apology from the Mayor of London. Sadiq Khan says the review was clearly biased and ignores the facts. The parliamentary inquiry into whether Boris Johnson misled MPs over Partygate is unfair and fundamentally flawed, according to a top barrister. Lord Pannick was tasked by the government to provide a legal opinion on the inquiry's investigation. In his report, he found the probe would be unlawful if taken to the courts. However, the chairman of the Parliamentary Standards Committee says the legal advice was misguided. Voting in the Tory leadership contest has now closed. The result is set to be announced on Monday. Either Liz Truss or Rishi Sunak will take over from Boris Johnson as Prime Minister after a contest dominated by the cost of living crisis. Well, Chancellor Nadhim Zahawi says whoever becomes our next Prime Minister needs to extend the cost of living support to next year. Speaking at a policy exchange event in London, he added it would help defeat the tactics used by Vladimir Putin. He also said the UK needs strong leadership and infrastructure to improve the British economy. New rail strikes have been announced, with the TSSA union saying it will join the RMT on the 15th and 17th of September in a dispute over pay, jobs and conditions. Talks between the unions and rail industry have been ongoing, but there's been no breakthrough or new offers. GB News has been told that Albanian crime gangs are becoming increasingly prominent in the drugs trade in many areas of England. In Suffolk, the Police and Crime Commissioner says he's very concerned about how the trade is fueling much of the violence on the streets. It comes as the latest GB News poll found 61% of those surveyed believe violent crime is out of control in Britain. TV, online and DAB Plus radio. This is GB News. Now it's back to Patrick and the Friday Night Feast.
Welcome back, everybody, to the one and only Friday Night Feast. Now, to some very interesting comments from clinical psychologist Kathy Nickerson, who has listed the 4 telltale signs that a divorce could be looming over your marriage. That's right. In the week that it emerged that we have more single-parent families than ever, is marriage an outdated concept? Is monogamy dead? Dr. Kathy Nickerson revealed the 4 telltale signs in a divorce is... I believe, here's what she had to say, yes, that's right, is criticism, when your partner shares harsh judgments on your thoughts, contempt, acting with contempt when your partner talks, defensiveness, being quickly defensive when being criticised without taking responsibility, and stonewalling, when you shut yourself down in conversation whilst your partner is talking. Right, OK, so if that sounds like you, your marriage is dead. We have love coach and former Celebs Go dating expert Nadia Essex with us to unpick this right now. Nadia, thank you very, very much. Yes, great to have you back on the show. OK, so this is interesting. So talk me through what stonewalling is, because last time I checked, I thought there was some kind of human rights campaign group.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's close. But it's none of these buzzwords are new. It's all very, like, old school style communication. So stonewalling is basically when someone is speaking to you and you're just not having any of it. You won't listen. You're putting like a stone wall up. You're leaving the conversation, leaving the room, and it's just there's no option. There's no olive branch. There's no way to communicate, and it's just not conducive to like a healthy relationship. Even with friends, you know, you can't have a friendship that is constantly, when you try and call them out on something or you try and have a conversation about their behaviour or even an opinion on what you think is right or wrong, if they just shut you down constantly, the friendship isn't going to last very long. And to be honest, neither is your marriage.
No, absolutely. Now, contempt. Contempt is a big one, because I do feel for people sometimes, though, when they've been with someone for, like, 60 years, you get two types of people. They go, oh, we've never had an argument. Well, what a dull life you must have then. Oh, you've never had an argument. What do? You just don't. You're just outside mowing the lawn, she's inside reading. You know, that must be dull as hell, to be perfectly honest with you. But I suppose contempt, you know, is it natural to grow to hate each other?
No. And I think that when you hear like the older generation say that, like we've never had an argument or whatever, I don't think that's like our version of arguments is what we see on Towie. You know, we see, you know, screaming, shouting, calling each other names. It just like toxic, you know, narcissistic nightmare. Whereas it just didn't happen. Like their version of arguments is disagreement. And so when they say that they've never had an argument, of course they've disagreed on stuff, but they've never had an argument to the point where there's no return. And I think the generation of these years and the generations coming up, it's so easy to jump into name calling, being, you know, misogynistic and sexist both ways. You know, bringing up things from people's past, and just when the youngsters of today have an argument, they go for the jugular. There's no holds barred. And I think that when the older generations say we never had an argument, they mean like that. Of course, they've disagreed on stuff, but they also realise that their relationship is more important than who's right or wrong about the price of cheese.
Do you think it's trickier these days, though, because you've got apps that are like a kind of sexual meat market, haven't you? Like Tinder and Bumble or whatever, you know, all of these things. You've even got apps for people to have extramarital affairs, for example. And we're seeing divorce rates, coincidentally, go right through the roof. You could also argue as well that people are taking better care of themselves and holding up better in their old age. Therefore, is monogamy an outdated concept?
I think monogamy has always been a choice. We are not naturally a monogamous species. You have to remember we are literally a species. As we may have consciousness and we may be evolved, but we're still came from, you know, the cavemen and evolved from whatever you believe in, your religious beliefs. You know, we came from somewhere, and we're not designed to be monogamous. Every other species that are on this planet that have, you know, mate for life, they just do. That is what happens. And we don't. And so therefore monogamy has always been a choice, and it will continue to be a choice. And again, in these coming up in the last 10, 15 years of dating, monogamy, the lines have blurred. You know, you don't have to, like nowadays you can be seeing someone without being boyfriend and girlfriend.
Yes.
You can be exclusive but not boyfriend and girlfriend. And there's all these new labels of being exclusive and seeing and monogamous yet not. There's no, for me, it's very, very simple. I'm old school. If we're exclusive, we're exclusive. Okay. We're boyfriend and girlfriend. If you're not seeing anyone else and I'm not seeing anyone else, we're together.
All right, well, that makes perfect sense. Thank you very much, Nadia, yet again for taking us through another heart-based minefield. Nadia Essex there, of course, dating guru. Cargie, there was a lot. This is Christian Cargie, by the way, joining me now, senior reporter at GBNews. Now,
dating expert.
Dating expert. Look, you've got a world of experience with this. No, but seriously though, on a more, I don't know, would we say conservative aspect? Does the breakdown of the traditional family bother you?
Yeah, I'm really concerned about it, actually, and I think there's a lot of reasons for it, but I totally get why we're now in an age of, sexual liberation, and people are quite rightly free to play the game. But I think one of the problems is that we're as a generation playing the game for longer, partly because we can't buy houses anymore. We don't want to, there's not that incentive to settle down, start a family. The world of work is much more competitive. We don't get one job and stick in the same company for 20 years. And I think also we have higher standards, and I think some of these older relationships, you hear older people talking about how, I waited outside your grandmother's place of work, and even though she told me she didn't want to see me and it was harassment, I kept going. And eventually she gave in and would be married. I don't think these, so we have
now you end up in court if you do that.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's quite right. But I'm also, I am concerned that, you can play the field all you like, but if you don't settle down, if you're in your 60s, 70s, it might be quite lonely. And I think a lot of these things, you have fun in the moment, down the road wasn't the best choice.
What do you think about all this stuff I see?
Well, I've been on this show before talking about my personal relationship.
You don't have to delve back into that.
No, I'm not going
a rather insensitive topic to pick, I must say. Sorry about that.
And I might say hello to Nadia because she's a friend of mine.
Oh, lovely stuff.
She's actually brilliant. So what was the question? Sorry.
We could just swerve it if you want, really. I think we'll probably just swerve it.
I do want to disagree on the fact that older couples do not argue like you know, I'm going to say us youngsters,
Yeah.
because my in-laws and my parents really do go for it. So, you know, all this, oh, no, they just bicker and they say things nicely. No, they don't.
No.
They don't.
No. I do quite like it sometimes when you see those like old married couples and all they do is bicker. It clearly started out as love, and now the way she flipping breathes, right? And then the second they're in public, they're like, "Oh, hi, you're right." You know, the car the whole way there. It's like, "Don't drive like that, Janice."
It's the way they say things. It's like, "Oh, really? I thought you said X." It's so passive-aggressive, but every conversation is like, "You're completely wrong," but I'm intrigued that you've made the wrong decision. You know?
And it actually frightens you because you think, oh my God, they actually can't stand each other.
No.
Yeah.
You know, and it is
a mortgage is a mortgage. Right?
A mortgage is a mortgage. I like it as well sometimes. I don't know if either of you have ever been in relationships like this where you'll be there and, you know, you'll be doing something like that and just something will drop on the floor. You know, you'll drop something on the floor and all of a sudden it's like, oh my gosh, you're making such a mess. It's not really about the mess, this, is it? It's not really that's not what this is about, OK? There we go. Well, anyway, let's take a look today at one of the other big news stories. All right, so we're moving on from course of divorce. And Khan gets dick out, that's right. An official report has criticised Mayor of London Sadiq Khan over the departure of Met Commissioner Cressida Dick. The report says that Khan did not follow due process and it amounted to, quote, constructive dismissal of the Commissioner. Sadiq Khan himself says the report is clearly biased and ignores the facts. Here to join me now, I'm delighted to welcome Donna Jones, the Hampshire Police and Crown Commissioner. Donna, great to have you back on the show. So, look, talk me through this a little bit, because it does look as though Sadiq Khan might have been a bit forceful when it came to Dick.
Yeah, I think there's two things here, Patrick. First of all, there's the performance of the Met Police. And secondly, there is this investigation carried out by Sir Tom Windsor, instructed by the Home Secretary. And I know Tom, I've been at national policing boards with Tom at the Home Office with Preeti Patel on a number of occasions. He's a very good, credible, honourable, experienced man working in the policing space for decades. And he has concluded that actually what's happened is effectively constructive dismissal, that there had been a number of events that had happened in the Met, but actually when it came to Sadiq Khan making that decision to get rid of Cressida, he in fact left her no choice. He gave her an ultimatum, which we understand was an hour, to get herself to his office in City Hall to go and meet with him and his deputy, because she hadn't turned up to a meeting earlier that day. And in fact, that has amounted to constructive dismissal. Now, what I would say as a Police and Crime Commissioner, as somebody who has a robust plan to hold my Chief Constable to account for the performance in my force, is he actually just masking his own failure as the Labour Mayor of London, which, let's not forget, every year, with the exception of COVID in 2021, every single year, crime in London has gone up under Sadiq Khan's watch. He has failed as the Mayor of London. People are dying needlessly on the streets of London because of him, and he used Cressida Dick as his scapegoat.
Yeah, that's right. And Cressida Dick did say, and has indeed said, that she felt, you know, quite manipulated, pressurised, put on the spot when it came to Sadiq Khan doing this. He's got a bit of an odd role in all of this, though. One side, he likes to try and move the responsibility away from himself when it comes to being involved with the police at all. And then at the same time as well, he decides that he's got the power, essentially, to oust the serving head of the Met. I mean, does he need to make his mind up?
Top job. He's trying to convince us all that he can do it. He was also the shadow mayor for London, the shadow MP for London when he was the MP in Tooting. He had a special shadow responsibility in the Labour shadow government. So he knows London very well. He grew up in London. He comes from Tooting. You know, he has got no excuse. And look, I'm not trying to excuse some of the failings in the Met, because like I said at the beginning, two problems here. One is the Met's performance, and that is a big beast. It's like trying to turn the Titanic round. But actually, Cressida Dick, the most senior police officer in Britain, actually very well regarded by the Home Secretary. I've been a meeting, sat 2 or 3 seats alongside Cressida opposite the Home Secretary on several occasions. Very well respected. She had a plan to turn things around. Yes, there were a number of awful events last year, including what happened with poor, tragic Sarah Everard and other women that, you know, have come from the hands of serving police officers under her. They were shocking. And so actually, I'm not saying that Cressida is off the hook here. I'm not saying that this is all Sadiq's fault. It's not. But I have not seen a robust plan from him as the Mayor of London on how he is going to make the streets of London safer for the 11 million citizens that live there. And quite frankly, I don't think he's up to the job anymore.
Well, no, and there is that question mark as to whether or not people have lost confidence in Sadiq Khan. Can I just ask you, Donna, there's something that, for my money, is not raised often enough, and that is some of Sadiq Khan's previous roles of employment. He was involved in a legal capacity, anyway, with, like, the Nation of Islam. Now, when it comes to banning Donald Trump, trying to ban President Donald Trump as a serving president of the United States of America, Britain's greatest ally, from essentially coming to the capital, right? When you look at some of the people who Sadiq Khan has gone into bat for, who may have been close to the Nation of Islam, for example, pretty radical people, doesn't that scream a bit of a kind of hypocrisy, really, in a way?
Yeah, I mean, he has been probably the most political mayor of London for years. And look, Boris is a massive political figure. That, you know, his predecessor, he is outright, you know, a right-wing politician. We get that. But I never felt with Boris that he overly used his overt political influence to further his own individual politics. I think he served the people of London and did what was right for London. But actually, what happened on that state visit by the President of America, regardless of whether people in this country think that Donald Trump is a good or a bad and should have been the president or not, what happened in Trafalgar Square, you know, those things that Sadiq Khan allowed to happen across London, and many of the Labour councils that supported Sadiq's position, let's not forget the part that they've all played in this as well. It was an embarrassment to our country, and actually it did cause some diplomatic stir that had to be managed very carefully through the Foreign Office and, of course, through Number 10 as well.
Donna, thank you very, very much. Great to have you on the show. That's Donna Jones there, the Hampshire Police and Crime Commissioner. Lovely stuff. Thank you for taking the time out of your evening to get involved with Friday Night Feast. Yes, lots of stuff to get stuck into there. Calgie, I'll lob it over to you. Christian Calgie, senior reporter at Guido Fawkes. What do you make of, basically, I suppose, Sadiq Khan's Dick controversy?
Yeah, the problem is that I never want to, you know, say anything other than the truth about Sadiq, but I'm going to censor myself. But, you know, Cressida Dick was a shoddy leader.
This is what makes it tricky, right?
Police.
This is what makes it tricky.
So the problem is, I don't think anyone disagrees with getting rid of her. Now, he clearly didn't follow the right procedure, which is in itself shoddy. But ultimately, the right decision was arrived at. I think, you know, we're still waiting on the Met to sort themselves out. And it's not just a case of a few rotten apples. I mean, every day we see examples of the, you know, racist WhatsApps, and Sarah Everard, and a Metropolitan Police officer was caught doing something indescribable in a public park. And I just think that London is being badly let down. And the real frustration here is, I think, mayors in this country have great ability to do things when they work with government. And I'm from Teesside. And there's the Teesside Mayor, Ben Houchen, has done unbelievably good things for the area in a very short amount of time. And we've had Sadiq Khan for however many years, and London has gone backwards in every single one of those years. And it's just disheartening to see what's happening to this city.
Well, it is. And we've got a lot to rattle through on this show. So I'm just going to move the conversation on slightly now, move away from that Sadiq Khan issue, really, which was that basically, I suppose, you might have put massive undue pressure on Cressida Dick to go. What do you make of this, of course? But after the break, I will be bringing you news on... Oh, no. Oh, no. It's Britain's biggest spider. Can I just say something? And everyone now watching this and listening to us is going to realise what an out-and-out wuss I am. I can't believe I'm revealing this on national television, but it is true. So I am terrified of spiders. I've got arachnophobia. And I had, where I live, a massive spider that used to come out and essentially terrorise me in the evenings. I'm not proud of this. My mum and dad drove down from Manchester the other day and tried to remove the spider from my premises because I couldn't do it to myself. Anyway, also the mobile phone mask that looks like a massive toilet brush. This is all, of course, in Round Your Parts. I'm going to rummage around your parts. I will see you in just 2 minutes for the very best of the local news stories of the week. Stay tuned.
Join my show Farage, 7 p.m. till 8 p.m. Monday through Thursday, and there you will get opinion, analysis, debate, and I'll cover stories that nobody else dares to touch. You've been cancelled. Join the club.
Oh my goodness me.
And then for the last 15 minutes, talking pints. We're over a drink. We have a civilised conversation with someone. We very often disagree, but we do it in a grown-up way. Come and join me on Farage.
My name is Andrew Doyle. Join me every Sunday evening at 7 p.m. for Free Speech Nation. This is a show where we address current affairs and news stories of the week with the help of two wonderful comedian panellists. I brought in comics because I want to give it a lighter edge, and also they work for less. See you there.
Hi there, it's Stephen and Anne.
At breakfast from 6 a.m, you'll always be caught up with everything you need to know, the latest headlines, opinions and debates.
We'll bring you the good news and the bad, but most of all, we're here for you.
Remember, send in your views and let us know what you would like us to talk about.
That's because we're your news channel. And every morning at 6 a.m, it's breakfast on GB News.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton Tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
Welcome back to Friday Night Feast. Now it's time for Round Your Parts, where we dig deep to find some of the absolute gems of local news. We start in Oldham, naturally, where a man was forced to eat upstairs after his family found what they've branded Britain's biggest spider, right? So Scott Elwood estimated the spider was about the size of his palm. He admitted that he absolutely hates creepy crawlies, and because the creature was hiding behind a skirting board next to the family's dinner table, he had to eat upstairs. Have we got a picture of this spider at all? No. Why would we? Why would we do a story about Britain's biggest spider, right, for a television channel and then not include a picture of the spider? I mean, goodness me. OK, right, we haven't got the rights to use a picture of this spider. There we go, it's all coming through thick and fast here. Scott used the words like hate, horrific and evil to describe this spider, which we can only assume looks massive because we're legally not allowed to show you a picture of a spider. But anyway, there we go. Christian, that's what people usually say about you, isn't it?
They're usually a lot harsher than that. So I think, first of all, it's lovely, finally, for the radio listeners and the TV viewers to be on an equal footing for once. No one has a clue what we're talking about, including the panel. It's great.
It's a massive spider.
I once had my worst experience with a massive house spider was I always used the Dyson. You know, the absolute best thing. You stand 2 metres away, suck up the spider.
Oh, I know.
It's over, right? I once encountered a spider that was so big, the Dyson didn't take it, and I knocked it behind a chest of drawers and almost moved out after that.
But you know, they can fly, they can come back out of the Hoover.
Yeah, you've really got to blitz it.
Yeah, you've got
to get it around a few times.
No, this is the weirdest thing. This morning in the kitchen was the hugest spider. I was screaming as I was killing it with the shoe. Screaming as I picked it up and screaming as I threw it out.
Oh, you keep them alive?
No. It was dead.
Oh, you were dead? Right, OK.
It was totally dead, I hope.
But I can't... So I refuse to kill things, right? I won't kill... I'm not like a Buddhist, all right? But I just...
You should join Peter.
Yes, I should. But I'm a complete hypocrite, right? Because I love the way dead animals taste. I just won't slaughter them myself. But yeah, so anyway, so when there's a spider there, I literally freeze. It is the definition of a phobia.
Yeah,
it's a complete irrational.
Yeah, it's the way they move. It's the speed, right? You don't know which direction.
It's the legs.
And you don't know.
And beware, everybody watching at home, listening, whatever, because it's spider mating season.
I know.
This is my worst month.
Well, this is the problem, right? Because it's still too hot, so you've got to have the windows open, but then it's raining and that forces them in, and then...
Well, they come from everywhere, because every September you're saturated with spiders.
Oh.
But I have something to give you a little...
It's not a spider, is it?
No, this is a little hack. Keep some conkers in a bowl in
I've heard the
every
conkers
room.
one.
It does
And
work.
I'm not on commission,
Little
but
hack.
Dysons really are excellent spider-killing machines. Slaughtering. across
Fantastic, yes, it looks like the first 10 minutes of Saving Private Ryan round at yours when it's spider season. But let's make the short journey from Oldham to Manchester, where a man set up camp outside a restaurant for almost 40 hours to bag himself free drinks every day for a whole year. So Callan Kemp travelled all the way from Mansfield to sit outside a new branch of Tim Hortons. Another customer waited for almost 11 hours, and he too was rewarded with free drinks for a year. Francine, what do you do to get free drinks for a year?
Come on to this show.
Hey, there you go.
Free
Absolutely.
drink.
Free drinks. Free drinks here on Friday Night Feast, although not for me. Well, I suppose it is
It's
free.
not the milk.
It's the milk. I'm on the milk this evening, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, it's good. I feel like, what was it, Accrington Stanley that did an advert with milk? Anyway, there we go. Now off to Birmingham. Where police officers were left stunned after coming across a man who was driving a Mario Kart. Yes, police said that the car stalled in front of them, and it turned out the driver had no insurance and a provisional licence, so the car was seized. There we go. Have you ever had any... do you drive? You don't drive, Christian, do you?
Well, I passed my test 8 years ago and haven't been behind the wheel of a car since.
No Really? way.
So I could legally do whatever I want.
Which is
but oh my
terrifying.
goodness me, it'd be like me with the spiders again. You know?
I can see you in a sports car, Francie.
I've actually got a... No, I haven't. I've got a Porsche Macan, because I like big cars.
Yeah.
I like to be high, because if I'm on a motorway, I like to be kind of on par with... If there's a lorry next to me... I hate lorries, by the way. I absolutely hate them. They're my one thing I would get rid of if I could. You know,
Well, I don't know.
they're the Satan
All you need is
of the road.
All you need is a massive Dyson, and you can just go around.
Do you ride a bike?
Which sort of bike? I can cycle.
Oh, you can.
Oh,
so do you cycle
Boris
around?
bike everywhere. Yeah,
Yeah.
but I live in civilization. I live in Zone 1, London.
No.
So I don't need a car. And in that respect, I'm sort of a god amongst Extinction Rebellion.
Yeah, you are indeed. I've emerged poorly from this particular edition of Round Your Parts because I don't like spiders. I've got a phobia of them, and I've never learned how to ride a bike. So there we go.
I can't ride a bike either.
Get in. Yeah, I knew I liked you. Right, finally, we head now to Scotland, because someone has to, where residents of South Queensferry are fuming after a 25-metre foam mast that was meant to be disguised as a tree instead looks like a massive toilet brush. There's a lot to unpick here. One of the problems with the mast is that it's twice as tall as all of the trees near it. According to the Daily Record, one local called it God's lavvy brush, which I particularly like. Someone else said it would have looked better if they'd not tried to disguise it. This rings alarm bells to me. It reminds me a lot. I mean, what a pathetic attempt that is. It does just look like a toilet brush. But there was some in Blackpool, right? So Blackpool, of course, a lovely, notoriously tropical part of the world, where the local council saw fit to put fake plastic palm trees on the promenade, which was fooling nobody, right? Nobody. I mean, why on earth would they do this? But, yeah, it was just shocking.
If it's going to fool anyone, it'd be Blackpool locals, right?
Do you think... Oh, hang on. We are the people trying to get out of Zone 1 London, Christian, OK? Get out of Zone 1 London and go and meet the real people, OK? Anyway, all right, so that was, of course, the latest edition of Round Your Parts, where we do pick apart the best of local news. But it's time now for another one of our regular features here. It's Patrick Hat-Trick, where I show you 3 viral videos that caught my eye in the last week. You can listen to them as well if you're tuning in on radio. It has been announced that Prince Charles is going to take the Queen's place at the Highland Games this week, but it seems like darts is more his thing. Take a look and hopefully a listen to this.
Theatre. Pure darts! Pure darts!
Fantastic. Prince Charles there living his best life, and I've woken up in some unusual places at 5:30 a.m. That's, you could say that again. I will. I've woken up in some unusual places at 5:30 a.m. My best was a roundabout. And there have been a motley crew of characters there to greet me, but fortunately the Prime Minister of this country was not one of them. However, aspiring rapper, can I just say, it does appear like every single person in the world these days is an aspiring rapper. But anyway, Z Remain... OK, not a Brexiteer. Can't say... or for the cheap seats at the back. Can't say the same about what happened to him at Notting Hill Carnival. Calgie loved that. He was awoken by a police raid led by a familiar figure.
Let me put Boris on my phone. Well, go on, Boris.
Raided by the police, and he opens his door to find Boris Johnson, the Prime Minister, there. What would you do if you rolled over first thing in the morning, Francine, and saw Boris Johnson?
I would have thought I had too much to drink. Or am I, you know, is this a nightmare, basically? No,
Yeah.
I mean, how fascinating, though,
Yeah.
to see Boris just, like, turn up in your... Yeah.
Yeah.
And to say,
it's a bit-
wagwan.
Wagwan, Boris.
Of all things.
I don't know really what to say about that. It's just crazy, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it is
I mean,
nuts. It is
yeah.
nuts.
I mean, it's not entirely unlikely for you. I mean,
Maybe.
any woman in the country could wake up with Boris.
I wondered where you were going with that for a second there, Christian.
Not you personally, my goodness.
Yes, we have got a legal team, but I'm not sure it's that good. Anyway, Naughty's pop sensation Anastasia was found walking around London streets by fans. So she confirmed her identity by belting her hit song, which, of course, we all remember. Wonder if you know. Check this out.
You believe it's me now? Yeah. Okay, let me start again. Yeah, and I wonder if you know how it really feels to be left outside alone when I'm all right here. Well, you should know just how it feels to be left.
Yes, good. OK, I did like the bit of that, Christian, where she was like, oh, no, I don't like it, no. OK, it's me, I'm going to sing now. I'm going to sing right now.
Well, I really thought we were about to mock it, but unfortunately we do know the song, so...
We do.
How do we recognise her? Like, I mean, she's not very distinctive. Do you know what I mean?
No.
It's not like seeing Madonna.
Are you calling Anastasia basic?
No, it's not like seeing Madonna out in the street. I mean, her hair was back, she had glasses, and I just wondered how they...
She had a very young man on her arm.
Exactly.
Yeah, you can always spot Madonna by how young the man next to her is, can't you? I think that's
That
the rule
is
with
true.
Madonna. Yes, OK, all right, well, now it's time, OK, for a little bit more of this. Post-person Pat. Yes, that's right, ladies and gentlemen, where we go to some of your views. Can I just say, stay tuned there, by the way, because we have got a massive, massive, massive revelation coming your way when it comes to Dog of the Week. And also find out why we put some of our television rivals back in their box. But Lee says, you look very well, Patrick, nice and slim. Thank you very much. I couldn't care less, always the man. Couldn't care less who drinks milk. I drink it, but only a few times a year. I must say, though, that humans are the only beings on Earth that drink milk into maturity. This is, in case you are wondering why on earth we're speaking to Lee about milk. It's because we had a massive debate. Today was a day of eco-terrorism to an extent, again, as environmental protesters broke into our seat of power in this country, the House of Commons, and glued themselves to stuff. Right, but before that, we've had vegans tipping milk away in Harrods and basically saying that we need to stop anything that involves animals whatsoever. So essentially what we were saying was, well, why don't we pit a dairy farmer against someone who works as an animal rights campaigner? And it's hard to tell exactly which side we were on, of course. That milk tastes great. But yes, we got to the crux of it. Anyway, going back to Boris now. Seta says, bring back Boris, not after his ramblings about a kettle. All right, fair enough. Terry's commented on my kickboxing challenge. Yes, I went kickboxing. Brilliant, mate. Haven't laughed that much for a long time. Thank you. Terry, what about me getting repeatedly kicked in the head made you laugh? But anyway, Barry also says, try clay pigeon shooting. Yes, I think we should be on with this, actually. So we were asking you to come up with ideas for my next challenge. Christys, try clay pigeon shooting. Deal and Sandwich Shooting School. Oh, I'll be your personal coach. Barry, it might be called the Deal and Sandwich Shooting School, but you've got yourself a deal, my man. These jokes don't write themselves. And we've been taking big spiders. Yes, talking big spiders even. So look away. Oh, here we go. Look away if you're an arachnophobe, OK? Mark just sent in this caption. Large one. Hopefully this is a spider. Right, yes. Yes. Well, it is large. That's a picture. Mark has sent in a picture of a massive spider next to his fireplace. There you go. Huge. I wouldn't fancy that. I like the fact that above his fireplace, keep that on the screen for us, please, it's got the words love, which I think kind of slightly undoes the fact that Mark probably beat that spider to death about 30 seconds after taking a picture. It must be a Mark thing, because a totally different Mark also treated us to a catch he made earlier this week. Is this it? We got... Oh,
okay.
Oh,
That's a bit
no,
worse.
that is awful.
I've just really been sick.
Oh.
It's the body to leg ratio for
That
me.
is
Daddy
grim.
long legs do nothing, but when they have a fat body...
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Oh, disgusting.
I don't know if you can say that, though.
What?
I can.
You fat shame
I
spider.
It's my word.
No. OK, all right, well, so there you go. People have decided to send in pictures of their massive spiders. Cheers for that. We didn't ask for it, but we're glad it happened. Thank you very much. OK. Whoa, the milk's
there goes
gone.
the milk.
I've dropped the milk. Sorry, everybody. Anyway, next, we'll meet this week's national treasure, and you don't want to miss. Don't cry over it. Don't cry over it. Next, you'll meet our dog of the week. Yeah, sorry, in case you're wondering what's just happened, I have just poured milk all over one of our guests. Sorry about that, everybody, but we've got some good news coming your way about dog of the week. Stay tuned. Someone needs to clean this up quick. It's going to stink.
It is going to...
Join my show Farage, 7 p.m. till 8 p.m. Monday through Thursday, and there you will get opinion, analysis, debate, and I'll cover stories that nobody else dares to touch. You've been cancelled. Join the club. Oh, my goodness me. And then for the last 15 minutes, talking pints. We're over a drink. We have a civilised conversation with someone. We very often disagree, but we do it in a grown-up way. Come and join me on Farage.
My name is Andrew Doyle. Join me every Sunday evening at 7 p.m. for Free Speech Nation. This is a show where we address current affairs and news stories of the week with the help of two wonderful comedian panellists. I brought in comics because I want to give it a lighter edge, and also they work for less. See you there.
Hi there, it's Stephen and Anne.
At breakfast from 6 a.m, you'll always be caught up with everything you need to know, the latest headlines, opinions and debates.
We'll bring you the good news and the bad, but most of all, we're here for you.
Remember, send in your views and let us know what you would like us to talk about.
That's because we're your news channel. And every morning at 6 a.m, it's breakfast on GB News.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
Welcome back to an increasingly chaotic Friday night feast, ladies and gentlemen. Can I just say, loads of you, apparently, I've been told in my ear, have started sending in pictures of spiders. This is as a result of a story that we did in a local news segment where apparently a bloke found a massive spider. I revealed that I am terrified of spiders, and the way that you, my loyal listeners and viewers, have decided to repay me is to send me hundreds of pictures of the things that I hate most in this world. So thank you very, very much. But earlier this week, experts warned that we could face energy rationing this winter to avoid blackouts. And it got me thinking, what else could the government ration? And what will the great British public actually believe? So that's the subject of this week's fake news section, where I go out and about and I try to convince the public that something totally made up is actually happening. If you're a football fan, by the way, you might just recognise one of the people I accidentally interviewed. See what you make about this. That we should have things like cuddle groups for warmth.
Not a bad idea. Depends who you're cuddling.
Would you cuddle me?
No.
Why not?
Because you're not as pretty as my wife.
There's a policy in place where people can go as part of a community and cuddle for warmth, as opposed to having to turn the heating on.
Okay.
Good idea or bad idea?
I think it's a good idea. It's just for the benefits of everybody, really. You know, you want everybody's concerned, like keeping them warm in the winter, especially older people. You know, I think it's very essential.
Cuddle pods.
Yeah. People, instead of having to turn the heating on, they just hug each other like penguins?
Yeah, that sounds lovely. I don't see any safeguarding issues with that at all.
That's a good point.
I would just love to hug strangers who want to hug other people. Yeah, it sounds great.
Okay, so that's a no. That's a hard no.
Stupid idea.
Around the shower a bit less, save water.
Have like a 30-second shower?
No, that does make sense.
Okay.
5 minutes. Let's have a
5 minutes? How long do you normally take in the shower?
I don't know, maybe 10.
Really?
How long do you spend in the shower?
God, well, once a week, probably about 35 seconds, something like that.
That's rapid shower.
The government's looking at rationing certain things. They're coming up with ideas. One of them, those things was toilet roll. Which is
Well, he's not going to have a problem, is he?
He's not going to have a problem. He's been stockpiling. Right. How do you feel about the idea that we might ration loo roll?
I think it's totally unnecessary.
Well, it's a cost of living crisis, OK? They're saying that people should ration toilet roll.
I've not heard that, no.
Well, this guy's obviously...
He's not doing that, no.
He's our prop for the day.
OK.
Are you going to ration loo roll?
No, not anytime soon.
One sheet per wipe? OK, well, there you go. People might have recognised there that that's Howard Webb, who is... well, he refereed a World Cup final. Right, so we actually managed to... By the way, can I just say, I didn't quite clock that it was Howard Webb until I realised that I was there with a GBNews microphone and one of our producers here, Keith, covered in toilet roll, walking up to a man who's refereed a World Cup final, asking him essentially how often he wipes his backside. So there we go. But, OK, that was, of course, the one and only Howard Webb. But it's time now for one of my many favourite features of this show. It's National Treasure time, ladies and gents. 22-year-old Louis Alexander devotes his life to raising money for dementia research after his grandfather sadly died following a 17-year fight against this disease. Now, his latest feat, though, is particularly impressive. You won't believe this. The multi-sport athlete has taken on what is said to be the oldest swimming challenge ever from Europe to Asia, crossing the Hellespont, one of the busiest shipping lanes in the world. I mean, unbelievable. There's how many people can say they've beaten Lord Byron at something. Yeah, the infamous romantic poet famously swam that strait as well, known as the Dardanelles, apparently, between the continents in northwest Turkey in 1810 in homage to the Greek classical myth of Hero and Leander. But Byron's not a patch on our Louis, who completed it in 1 hour and 4 minutes. Wow, I'm pleased to say that he joins me now. Brilliant stuff. Can I just say, every single week on this show, Friday Night Feast, our National Treasure gets a big round of applause on the way in. So well done. Amazing stuff. Can I just ask, I mean, it's a fantastic cause, but why did you decide to do that specific thing? I mean, that's an incredible physical feat.
Oh, thank you very much. It was a bit of a tip of the hat, I guess you could say, to the adventure greats, such as Lord Byron, who have sort of paved the way in the adventure world. So it was a nice tip of the hat, really, to him.
Doing it for an incredibly worthy cause as well, to raise money for, I suppose, research into dementia. Just talk to me a little bit about how much money you raised, and obviously we've touched on it already, but why you chose that particular cause.
Sure. So my grandfather was Captain Eric Taylor. He served in the British Army for 38 years. He served all around the world, but it was sadly his fight against dementia which ended his life. And I made the promise at his funeral. I had the honour of speaking, and I made the promise in front of his family and friends that I would support Alzheimer's Research UK, which is the charity leading the fight against dementia until the day we find a cure. And yeah, I'm very proud to be keeping that promise. And I think the number now is over 25,000 for Alzheimer's Research UK and almost 40,000 for charities in total, which I'm very, very proud of. And, yeah, I'm very grateful.
Well, you should be very proud. You should be very proud. I'm absolutely certain, by the way, that your grandfather is definitely very, very proud as well. There's no doubt about that. Talk to me a bit about some of the practical elements of swimming there. Did it involve a lot of training? What was it like when you were in the water? It's apparently one of the busiest shipping lanes in the world.
It is one of the busiest shipping lanes in the world, and every year on Turkish Victory Day, in honour of Lord Byron, they close the shipping lane for only 2 hours. So that is the goal time. That was my original goal, 2 hours, so I was very happy to beat that. And yeah, it's one of the busiest shipping lanes in the world, which is absolutely insane, and it was what an awesome opportunity, really. It was in many ways probably the busiest and most intense hour of my life, and in other ways it was the most peaceful. It was such a unique experience and very different to any of the challenges I've done before. So this year I've completed now 4 adventures of around 17 marathons in 17 consecutive days, rode the English Channel, another shipping lane, and climbed Mont Blanc, and obviously most recently swam the Hellespont. So it's very different to the challenges I've done before, but nonetheless, all the history behind it, as we mentioned with Lord Byron and mythology, it was such an epic and opportunity, which I'm very grateful I had the opportunity to finally take on. It was originally actually booked on over 2 years ago, so it was epic to finally have the chance to do it. And what's even more special is, and more unique, was I actually completed the swim at the same age as Lord Byron was, which was 22 years old. So it's really, full circle, really. It's quite nice.
Well, can I just say, I did initially start this segment by really liking and admiring you, and now I do a feature called Challenge Christys every week, and you've mugged me right off, mate. So you've swam the busiest shipping lane in the world, you've climbed Mont Blanc, you've done, was it 16 marathons in 16 days? I mean, earlier on this week, I got kicked in the head by a kickboxer on Baker Street, so it's not quite the same thing, is it? But thank you very, very much. Can people still donate? I don't know, is there any way we can give it a cheeky plug, get those donations up?
Absolutely. JustGiving.com/the Helispon swim, and all donations go directly to charity. And Louis Alexander Ultra on Instagram if people want to follow future challenges and fundraisers. And thank you for the opportunity. Really grateful.
Thank you. You epitomise what it means to be a national treasure. So thank you so much. You get a clap in the way in, you get a clap on the way out. Well done. Fantastic. Good stuff, Louis. Wow, I tell you what, that puts things into perspective, doesn't it? Louis there, fabulous national treasure. Now it's time for the moment that we've all been waiting for, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, it can only mean one thing. It's Dog of the Week. That's right. Here we go. It's a very special edition of Dog of the Week tonight, I must say. Before we crack on, it's time to lay something to rest, OK? A very interesting tweet emerged from a lovely chap called Peter Cardwell, who works for, shall we say, another parish, Talk TV. And this is what he wrote. So he was obviously watching last Friday's show. Thank you very much, Peter, because it is a much better offering. He was watching this show, and he tweeted, here we go, they say that imitation is the sincerest form of flattery, and my Cat of the Week spot has been running for some weeks. Now our rivals GBNews have decided to do a Dog of the Week. Just so there's absolutely no doubt about this, we have been doing our Dog of the Week feature before their channel even started. So I just want to put that to bed, but as Peter correctly said, it's all about the animals finding homes, OK? After he apologised profusely to me, both by direct message and indeed online as well. So good luck to him, and let's see those cats get adopted. But most importantly, the dogs on my show. OK? Right, now, on to the more important business of dogs. Let's see if any of you can give Pepper her forever home. It's Dog of the Week time. Pepper is 3 years old, and GBNews, the only place with a true animal rights pedigree, viewers will confirm that she's absolutely beautiful. She's only been in the UK for 3 months. There we go. Look, oh, Pepper. Whoa, whoa. Anyway, to find out about Pepper, I'm joined now by Kate Saunders, who's at the Second Chance Dogs manager, is that right? At Paw Prints to Freedom, there we go. Thank you very, very much. Sorry, I didn't get your job title exactly correct there, but there we go. Fantastic. Tell me a bit about Pepper. Thank you for coming on the show.
Hi, yeah, so Pepper's been in the UK for about 3 months. She came over from Romania. It's being surrendered due to personal circumstances. So the home that she's got at the moment, something's occurred where they're no longer able to care for her. So as I said, she's in the UK, she's in London. So we're reaching out to anybody who might be able to help rehome her. She's a lovely girl. She loves to play, as you can see in the videos. She loves a pamper. She loves going to the groomers. She's just a lovely, lovely girl.
Oh, lovely stuff. OK, so Pepper, this is an all-important question. I ask it every week. Is she good on a walk?
Amazing on a walk. Absolutely loves her walks.
Good stuff. That's what we like. Any special requirements whatsoever, do you think, when it comes to Pepper, who looks lovely? I'm hoping that we might be able to play some of those shots of Pepper again so people can see Pepper once more. Any special requirements? She got with kids, or do we not know?
Yeah, no, so she can go with older children. Reason being, she's probably going to be a bit nervous, seeing as though she's not been in the UK very long. We've said older children. She can go with other dogs. She'd probably like to have a bit of a playmate after some, obviously, careful introductions, doing it properly. Not a big fan of cats. She will ignore them when she's out on her walk, but she'd rather not live with a cat. I think she'd rather chase it.
That's fair enough. You're going to have to go to a different TV channel if you want to find a cat. But can I just say, we heard, if someone wants to get in touch, so they've seen Pepper, right, and they've fallen in love with her, they're smitten. How can they get in touch with you at Paw Prints to Freedom, and how can they try to adopt that lovely girl?
Yeah, so you can either go to our website, which is printstofreedom.co.uk. It's a number 2, not the word TO.
Yeah.
You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter. I think we've also got a TikTok page as well. So, yeah, there's plenty of ways to look us up.
Lovely stuff. And now I could just hear something in the background there. Am I right in saying there might be another dog available for us this evening? Not to hire, then not to give a home to. You've already got a home, is that right?
Yeah, it's my dog Woody. He's a Paw Prints to Freedom dog as well. He was also surrendered by his previous home, and I just couldn't let him go into kennels. He's very small. He's very puppy-like, and he just constantly wants to play. And because he can see I'm on video, he wants to join in.
Is there any way we can get a look at him, or is that too complicated at the minute? Is he massive? Yeah. Here we go. I think we were about to see Freddie, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. Woody, sorry. Oh, Woody! Hello!
Woody, there he is.
OK, fantastic stuff. Well, what a lovely dog. Well, look, thank you so much. Great to have you both on the show, actually. Katie Saunders there, who is the Second Chance dog manager at Paw Prints to Freedom. That was, of course, our main Dog of the Week bit. But, ladies and gentlemen, we promised some massive news, OK? Our regular viewers and listeners might remember that back in July, we featured Margot. Yes, Margot is a German Shepherd who was at Teckle's Animal Sanctuaries in Gloucester, and one viewer in particular fell in love with her, so much so that he decided to rescue her. He got in touch with us to let us know, and that man is James Johnson, and we can join him and Margot now. James, yes, thank you very much. And there's Margot. Way. So just to clarify, James, because we had some imposters on this show a couple of weeks ago, a few weeks ago, take one of those, Christian, take one of those for us, who were saying that actually, you know, they'd rehomed one of these rescue dogs that we feature on Dog of the Week, OK, but that they hadn't done it because they'd seen it here. You definitely rehomed Margot because you saw her on this show, yeah?
Yes.
Say yes. Say yes.
Yes.
Yeah, right. There we go. OK, fantastic, good stuff. All right, mate, so there we go. Now that's out of the way. How is Margot?
She's still very anxious.
Sorry. The party poppers really didn't help then. Sorry about that. So Margot's been all right. She's a bit nervous, but she's settling in all right, is she?
Yeah, she's wanting to get away now, so that's the way wandering around the room now.
There you go. And so, look, can I just say thank you so much for getting in touch with us as well, for watching the show and for doing it. And what really what attracted you to Margot?
I've had German Shepherds nearly all my life, and when I saw Margot, I thought, here's a dog that's needing a home, and I've got the space for her, and I've got the time for her, so I thought I'll contact Teckles and.
Oh, good stuff. And so you think Margot is going to become a big part of your family? Would you recommend for anyone who's watching Friday Night Feast to rehome one of the rescue dogs that we promote here?
Well, that was the reason why I contacted you, to encourage more people to come forward.
Oh, lovely stuff. Well, look, thank you so much. Can we just have a little, I don't know, how big is Margot now? Can she be picked up and we have a quick look at her or not? I just wouldn't mind seeing how happy Margot is, if that's all right. I think we can maybe have a quick look at Margot. Yes. Margot, come on, Margot. Yes, there we go. We can just see the top of Margot's head. There we go. Lovely stuff.
Well, look. They say never work with children and animals on TV.
That's absolutely right. That's so right, actually. But look, on a serious note, thank you so much. And I know Margot thanks you. I know everyone, dog lovers across the country, thank you. You're an absolute inspiration. And mate, seriously, it does mean the world to me, James, that you tune into this show and that you get in touch with us and you follow it up, because we are nothing, seriously, without people like yourself. So thank you very much. Good luck to you and Margot and the whole family, and all the best to you, mate. All right, thank you so much, James Johnson there. And the wonderful Margot. There we go. Well, that was typically chaotic, wasn't it? Are you a dog or a cat man?
I used to be terrified of dogs. I always talked about arachnophobia. I used to be absolutely terrified of dogs, and I've really just sort of managed to grow up in the last few years and learn to love them. Unfortunately, our housing contract says we can't have any. But, no, I really love them, because they're sort of... Cats are cute, right? But I
they don't love
dogs,
you.
Yeah, that's the thing about dogs.
Cats don't love you.
That's the thing about dogs. They've got more of a personality.
I'm scared of cats because they can literally just jump on you and claw you. I just...
Yes, you do.
I don't like cats at all.
Good stuff. Right, well, there we go. Ladies and gentlemen, we've had it all this week, haven't we, on Friday Night Feast. We've spoken, of course, about whether or not you'd have Boris Johnson back. We've set the world to rights. We pitched a dairy farmer against an eco-warrior. He spoke a little bit about Sadiq Khan and, indeed, his relationship to Cressida Dick, and we made absolutely no lazy sexual innuendos about that whatsoever. Rehoming a rescue dog, but it's just about it now. I'm absolutely knackered. Has anyone got a taxi for Christys?
Taxi for Christys.
Yes, it's almost time for me to go, but first, this was the week when NASA showed just how desperate they are for this weekend's launch to go well, by hiring Superman's alter ego Clark Kent to join their team. Rihanna once again topped the charts with We Found Love in a Hopeless Place. Yeah, there we go, ladies and gentlemen. And, of course, this couple are now in pole position to release an updated version. Parents struggling to think of a name for their new baby were given a welcome tip when a woman named her daughter after her favourite takeaway dish. Dear me. When I was born, the child next to me was called Crystal Maze, apparently, but I suppose it was Wythenshawe. Fans of Rod Stewart received an absolute treat. Even at the age of 77, the singer is still looking fantastic. And Leicester's bad start to the season has had negative impacts when it comes to boss Brendan Rodgers, because the poor guy has shrunk to half of his former size. That's all we've got time for tonight. Thank you so much. It's been an honour and a privilege. Thank you to my panel, Christine Calgie, Francine Lewis as well. Been great to have you all on the show. Thank you so much for watching. This has been Friday Night Feast. Until next time, goodbye. Mwah.
Hello. It's looking rather unsettled across the UK through this weekend, with a mixture of showers and longer spells of rain. Often winds will be stronger as well, but in between all of that, there will still be some warm, sunny spells. If we look at the pressure pattern then, for most areas today was dry. There were some really quite heavy showers around, particularly towards the southwest of England. But towards the west, we have seen cloud thickening, and that's tied in with this weather front that's spreading in from the Atlantic. And this weather front's going to bring a very wet spell of weather across many western parts through Friday night into Saturday. So you can see some heavy rain affecting western Scotland and Northern Ireland through the night, with a warning in force from midnight. But elsewhere across the UK, largely dry. Still one or two showers, a few fog patches towards the south. But actually, for many areas, it'll be a quiet night and not cold anywhere. Temperatures not